What could be better than calibrating your TV on a sunny day? Okay, after some recommendations, I tried to translate my German video to English because some members ask about it, and I try my best. So here's my setup. Here's my Pgen with some patterns from TED. And it's a great tool. This is my ID3. It's in direct contact with the television. I tried every position, but there's no big difference. So don't worry, just put it on the TV. I don't use a spectrometer anymore. I will explain later. So here's my LG OLED 83C3 and a laptop with Colorspace. Okay, now the presettings for the television. I set my color ID a little bit right from the center. So deactivate energy saving, deactivate logo dimming, AE brightness is a good thing. So when your room is a little bit with light, then the gamma curve in the lower end is raising up a little bit, so you've got no black crush when there's light on in your room. But for calibrating, we have to deactivate it. So in the picture mode, we're choosing the filmmaker mode and set it to default. We're creating a daytime profile. For daytime, I set my OLED brightness to 35, and in dark environment, I set it to 13. When your TV is a little bit... Okay, contrast and brightness could stay at default, and we set the gamma curve to 2.2 because of daytime profile. Automatic. And your white balance set it to default. Every picture enhancer deactivated, and true motion is not important. You can leave it on or off, doesn't matter. So now we're switching to Colorspace. And here my presets. You can create your own color space. So I created Rex 709 with gamma 2.2. So you have just to edit the gamma and choose save. And now you got your new custom profile. So this is device control. You don't need it for this calibration. I just had it opened. You need it for HDR calibration, but not at the moment. So, Device Control brauchen wir jetzt erstmal nicht. Das brauchen wir später für, wenn wir HDR kalibrieren, was im anderen Video kommt. Okay, gehen wir mal die Grundeinstellungen durch. Okay, now the basic settings. Wir messen in 8-Bit, können auch mit dem Pgen. We set it to 8-Bit. Aber da die Patterns in 8-Bit sind. Because the patterns are in 8-Bit, so we're choosing 8-Bit. Set it to legal for low, video level. Dafür für HDM Low kalibrieren, also legal von 16 bis 235. Reicht ja auch legal. Hier übernimmt er automatisch die hellste Einstellung, die er gemessen hat. So this is the peak brightness. It's set at the moment to auto. You can leave it on auto. Color checker ID. So we choose our colorimeter. These are the correction files. You have to choose the one that is the nearest to your television. But when you don't have a correction file, you can choose none, and then it's measuring in row X, Y, Z. So I'm using the G3 because it's the same panel as the C3, just without MLA. So we are measuring manual, so it's not a problem which correction file you're choosing. Okay, the integration time is to 0.75 seconds. Das Bild stabilisiert und dann misst er, sind 0,75 Sekunden. Sollte beim Oled Standard sein. Wir gehen dann zu dem Pattern Generator rüber. Wir haben hier den P-Generator. So this is a P-Generator settings. Haben hier die Einstellung bei 4K oder UAD wählen wir 24 Hertz. Take the same settings as here. Das ist dann den 120 Hertz da, weil er das 5-mal. You have to choose 24 frames per second and the television is putting out 120 Hertz. Calibration tools, damit kann man zum Beispiel das Meta Position. So here are your pre-calibration patterns where you set your colorimeter, you can check brightness, you can check contrast. Die Sachen, die können wir erstmal standardmäßig belassen. So leave this as default, and here are my Dann haben wir hier die Patterns. Man kann test patterns erstellen. Teilweise werden oder viele werden auch mitgeliefert von. So there are many test patterns you can get from Colorspace or from the LG White Balance Tool. Mega genial ist, auch gleich zu kommen. Eine Einstellung ist noch hier. Wie lange braucht der Pattern Generator, um das Bild zu wechseln? Beim Pgen. So this is the time we gave the pattern generator to change the pattern. For the Pgen you can choose a half second. For the internal pattern generator you have to choose 1 second because of the magenta flashing. Da der interne Pattern Generator ansonsten aber auch rumzickt, nehme ich jetzt den P-Generator. Zum einen sparen wir uns jedes Mal eine halbe Sekunde. There's no big difference between the internal pattern generator and P-Generator in the measuring. Das heißt, unter einem Nit. So here's intelligent int for dark areas. Everything about 1 nit is calculated with 5 or 10 measure cycles. Erstmal kostet das nur 30 Euro. Lifetime. So Colorspace just is $30 and you've got a lifetime license and the best support you can get for your individual problems. I learned much from TED, from Colorspace. Wir benutzen kein Spektrometer. So we don't use a spectrometer, and now here's the trick. Because every spectro is different from TV model to TV model, and you don't know which spectro is right. So there's just one variable more. Then you have to make a profile for your colorimeter from your spectrometer. There's one more variable and it's too hard. So because of this, I'm just using the colorimeter and we are now measuring the filmmaker mode and we will look at the first results.
Machen, je nachdem, wie fit ich in der Videosoftware bin.
Okay, I've made it a little bit faster, the video, so we don't have to wait every measure cycle. So this is the RGB balance. And as you can see, the colorimeter is measuring too much red because we don't have a spectral. So if you trust the colorimeter, you would lower down red and the result would be a too bluish and greenish picture.
Das Colorimeter jetzt an, dass der Fernsehen viel zu viel Rot hat.
So here's the trick. LG is measuring. They've done a good work for pre-calibration, and at 80% pattern, it's perfect. They're measuring 80% pattern perfect. So we choose this 18% pattern as our alternative white point. So these are the coordinates for our alternative white point. And now we're editing our color space with the new coordinates.
Jetzt erstellen wir uns den eigenen Weißpunkt. Ich habe die jetzt schon erstellt.
So I've got an individual color space. You can see it here. And now you put in these coordinates instead of the default coordinates.
3188, 3280 misst unser Spektrometer.
So when you put it in,
Jetzt leicht verändert, ist aber marginal.
Just press save, give it a name.
Trage ich jetzt hier ein, benenne das dann Record 709, Gamma 2.2 für mein Fernsehen 83C3. Die Geschichte speichern wir ab.
So we're now choosing this color space.
Den perfekten Weißpunkt. Wählen uns jetzt in unsere Grundeinstellungen. Record 709, Gamma 2.2.
And voila, you've got a great RGB balance based on the LG 18.80% point factory calibration. And as you can see, they've done a great work. The RGB balance is very good. A little bit too less red at the low end.
Im Prinzip kann man sagen, hat LG da schon ab Werk diese Sache ziemlich gut abgestimmt. Man könnte damit jetzt eigentlich zufrieden sein und sagen, komm, alles gut. Wir haben aber noch nicht das Gamma dabei beachtet.
So, what's the problem is the gamma.
Sehen wir, sind wir
the EOTF curve.
Könnten wir dann Black Crush kriegen.
It's good for the most default viewer, it's okay, but we want the best, and so we have to tweak it a little bit. So as you can see, at the low end, the picture is too dark. Because of this, you've got Black Crush. Mostly on LG, on OLEDs, they lowering the low-end gamma too low because they want to demonstrate the contrast, but you've got a Black Crush. So we have to raise the low-end gamma values.
Und das war's dann eigentlich schon fast. Eventuell blau einen Ticken absenken.
Okay, now here's coming LG White Balance Tool, the greatest tool for calibrating.
Das Tool ist der absolute Hammer. Man müsste jetzt im Prinzip eigentlich
and it's for free.
Fernbedienung in den 22
You don't need to remote control to set all the values. You can do it
nach einer Session
with this tool and send it directly to the television.
viel zu lange. Wir machen jetzt mal für
So we're creating a new profile from C3.
Das ist meine
Now I have to
IP-Adresse,
put in my IP address.
Wir messen keine HDR. Hier sagen wir, dass wir jedes Mal, wenn wir was
Every time you press send, it will save the file. We set to warm 50, it's our default. And when it sends the picture, when it sends the file, it should set the TV to black. So these are my past measurements. It's not actual anymore because it was done one day after I've got the TV. So when you editing the low ends, don't go to minus, just raise it a little bit. And red always should stay at 0, don't lower red at the high end. In the high end, just use green or blue. Okay. Now, okay, I'm checking the TV again. Everything set to default, and I'm now selecting the profile bright room and set it to default. Every picture enhancer is deactivated. So as you can see, the pattern is sorted from bright, dark, so the picture can cool down between the patches. When you're just measuring a bright pattern, it heat up and it's getting brighter every cycle.
Entscheidend ist, wenn man hier oben die Highs anfasst, wirken die sich auch auf die Lows aus.
Okay, when you set the high gain, it affects the low gain, so you have to balance them out. But there's so minor to do, we're just raising red at the low end and that's all. And the RGB balance is quite perfect. Okay, the gamma curve, it looks okay for most users, but we want the best. And now we are going to the diff EOTF and we can fine-tune the RGB gamma settings.
Ja, man teilweise Black Crush ist. Eigentlich ist im Bereich, den man misst, hier unten rum. So, schauen wir uns doch mal das RGB-Balance an. Rot ist jetzt hier in dem 30er-Bereich ein bisschen höher gekommen. Das ist jetzt hier perfekt.
So, as you can see, RGB balance is okay.
Oben mal schauen, im 100er-Bereich. Das auch perfekt. So, damit haben wir die RGB-Balance im Prinzip schon eingestellt. Wir mussten jetzt nur im unteren Bereich Rot anheben.
Okay, again we just raised red at the low end.
Das spaßige Thema.
And now the funny part. We have to make this RGB curve flat.
So, Patch 1 ist dieser hier unten.
So we're starting with a low patch, and my advice is don't measure just one pattern in repeat. Always measure the whole scale and then adjust the points and measure the whole scale again.
So, was ich sinnvoll finde, ist nicht ein Patch jeweils einzeln zu messen.
Okay,
weil
now
da
I'm
verändert sich
telling it in German.
ja, die Leuchtkraft der Pixel. Man misst im Prinzip einmal einen ganzen Durchgang durch und schaut sich an, wie sich das ausgewirkt hat. So, wir fangen mal hier unten an. Da würde ich sagen, den unteren heben wir erstmal.
Okay, now we start. You can adjust the points in your television and there's a brightness for all, for red, green and blue. Don't use it. I don't know the word in English because my television is in German. The light power from the LED. Don't use this, just use RGB.
Bei der 11 gehen wir nur noch ein hoch.
So this is my first setting in this cycle and I'm doing it by my eyes.
Beim 10. Patch.
When you've done it many times, you know how much clicks you have to do.
Bei der 12 passt blau.
So the LGB white balance tool is a great tool because when you set your TV to factory, you just can load up the file and put it in your TV and you've got all your calibration back. I never use AutoCal because it's there are too many errors and you can't adjust the picture afterwards. When you set your AutoCal, it's fixed and you can't do a little bit tweaking. An LGB white balance tool is for free. I would pay for it $15, $100 because this tool it saves so much time. And you can try different settings and you can compare them. Just load your old setting, your new setting, and you can watch a difference. It's crazy good, this tool. From Leroy K from the AVS forum. Okay, now we've made our first setting. Don't set 22 because this is the high gain. It will affect the high gain. So now we're measuring and see what our settings has done.
Komischerweise misst jetzt mehr.
As you can see, the peak brightness differs a little bit from our first setting, so we go back to the we have fixed it and we set it back to auto. For SDR, auto is okay. For HDR, it's better not to use auto. So we choose our new value.
Kann das im SDR auch im Prinzip auf Auto lassen. Dann geht er halt bei den unteren immer ein Stückchen mit. Wir setzen ihn mal jetzt auf Auto. So, wie ihr seht, kommen wir schon mit den 3 Farben.
As you can see, we are coming a little bit near to the perfect gamma curve. So we now have to adjust it again. So I don't have to comment the values, you can see it. So we set our values and now we'll make a new measure cycle again. And as you can see, we're coming nearer. So we have to adjust the values again a little bit. So, a new measurement. And we have to adjust it again. I'm speeding up. Calman doesn't support the Pgen anymore because they want to sell their own pattern generator. So this was the reason I switched to Colorspace. And it was the best thing I could do for calibrating using Colorspace. Okay, one more correction, but you can see we are getting nearer. So I'm speeding up. So, and now we're measuring again.
Was noch zu sagen ist, bei den Punkt von 1 misst das Colorimeter eigentlich nicht.
So for the first pattern, the colorimeter doesn't measure it correctly. So you have to look at the second patch, and when it's too much, when the difference is too much from 1 to 2, then choose the values from 2. Because at the low end, the colorimeter can't measure the little bit of light.
Also im Prinzip könnte man die auch hier alle gleichmäßig anheben. Wir machen es jetzt aber einmal so. So langsam nähern wir uns an. Ich denke mal noch so 2, 3 Durchgänge.
So I think 2 or 3 more cycles and then we are finished.
Jawohl. Okay, bei der 1 heben wir noch. Um den Vorgang nicht so langweilig zu machen, noch ein paar Infos. Ihr habt die Möglichkeit bei Colorspace Intelligent Integration zu aktivieren.
So in Colorspace you've got Intelligent Integration and AIO. This AIO doesn't work in Calman. There's a button, but it doesn't work. In Colorspace it's working. And the intelligent integration for dark areas is much better in Colorspace than in Calman.
Das Patch da ist, Dann lässt es den Patch 0,75 Sekunden erstmal leuchten, damit sich die Pixel stabilisieren und dann misst erstmal
Okay,
den wahren Wert. Ja.
Oh, it's not important.
Das sieht doch schon ganz gut aus.
So this looks really good.
Im Prinzip sind wir jetzt unten bei der 1.
Just the one is jumping, but you never get one flat.
Die anderen beiden können wir wieder einen runternehmen. Bei der 2. Das sieht eigentlich schon ziemlich gut aus.
The 21 is a little bit too bright.
Die 7, ja, ist eigentlich okay.
But this
ist okay.
is result is good enough for everyone. You can't see a difference when you're clicking, when you're making one or two more clicks. It's okay, but for the video I will do it
Was ich dann allerdings auch wieder hier
till the end.
Wir machen noch einmal einen Check. Wir müssen noch einmal durch.
So one check again.
Wie ihr seht, haben wir jetzt schon eine Gamma-Kurve, die schon ziemlich
So the gamma curve looks much better.
mit dem Gamma perfekt verläuft.
It's not called gamma anymore, it's called EOTF.
Okay. So die 1, die spinnt natürlich immer so ein bisschen rum. Da kann man nichts
So as you
machen.
can see, you can't get
Hier haben wir
one.
jetzt 3 abgesenkt. Jetzt ist er im Prinzip wieder zu tief. Wir gucken mal, wie die sind. Dann setzen wir den mal.
Okay, we're raising up 20 and 21 again.
Die beiden wieder einen hoch. Der 19er, der ist eigentlich schon neutral, den lassen wir mal. Dann haben wir nur noch als Ausreißer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Die 7, die können wir einmal einen anheben.
So we can adjust the 7
Die letzte
by one
Messung.
click.
Und dann müssten wir
And now we're doing the last
durchschneiden.
measurement.
Da bei jeder Messung sich hier leicht der Maximalwert verändert.
Because the peak brightness differs in every cycle, so the high points are jumping from high to low, but don't be confused, you can't see it with your eyes. As you can see in the right window in Colorspace, there is an X10, and when there's X10, the window is zoomed at factor 10. So when there's an X10, you could be happy with the result.
Die schon zu hoch ist, ja, der ist schon wesentlich. Gehen wir mal mit Rot und Grün bei den beiden jeweils einen runter. Das messen wir auch gar nicht mehr. Bei der 3 und 4 gehen wir auch mal mit Rot runter.
So a little bit fine adjust at the low ends, but we don't measure it again. Okay, this could be the final result.
Das müssen wir jetzt nicht mehr durch, weil da unten springen die immer zu stark. Ich habe jetzt die 3 nochmal jeweils einen abgesenkt. Vierten könnte man auch im Prinzip noch einen absenken, aber ich lasse jetzt mal so. Damit hätten wir jetzt unser Profil.
Okay,
Gamma 2.2
this is our bright room at gamma 2.2.
Abgespeichert. Im White Balance Tool speichert er das
White Balance has saved the file, and now we've got a daytime and we can load it every time we want. So now we're switching to TV. As you can see, you can use your LG OLED at daytime as a mirror.
Macht die Sache jetzt nicht einfacher, aber da müssen wir durch.
So now we check, I will show you the result on the television.
Erstellt für den
So we've got the Expert Bright Room.
Und wie ihr dann seht,
and now you can see that the RGB white balance tool has sent all the values to the television.
Bei den 2 Points haben wir hatten wir nur Low verändert.
So you see
Angehoben.
the low end we raised red, and in the 22 points you can see,
Mal meinetwegen
for example, we choose 85 pattern, and you see the values that are sent from the LGB white balance tool.
Okay, das haben wir jetzt natürlich nur für diesen
So
Programmplatz hier
it's just for this HDMI port, so we have to copy the settings to every
HDMI-Port, an dem wir den P-Generator
to every app and every HDMI
alle
port,
SDR-Programme,
and so we're
Speicherplätze und Apps haben wollen, müssen wir
das auf alle put it to all what's the word, ports.
Dann haben wir das auch bei YouTube und auf jedem anderen HDMI-Eingang.
So now you can enable AI brightness again, and you can use it for daytime. It's a great feature. I like it.
30 zu setzen beim 83er Zoll.
So I've got an 83-inch television. When you've got a smaller television, 65, 55, I would choose 40 for daytime. As the TV gets bigger, you can lower the brightness more. So that's it. I hope my English was not so bad, and have fun with the video, and if you have questions, put it in the comments.